Hello and welcome everyone. This is Taco Movie Talks and this is week 23. I am very glad that you joined us here today and we have quite the episode for you. First and foremost, thank y'all for liking, thank you for subscribing, and thank you for the comments as well. Video just reached over 1,000 views. That's super, super exciting. The letterbox is over 4,000 followers. Check out the description. It'll be down there below to follow. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I am joined here with the one and only Big Chungus. I'm very excited to record with her today because we have some good movies. And at the end of the episode, we're going to be going over our top 5 actors and actresses, their best and our least favorite, or what we consider to be their worst movies, which was a very great idea by Big Chungus, and I'm happy you recommended it because it's hard for a lot of the actors that you really like to find their worst movie for sure. Right out of the get-go, we watched 3 movies together. And how did you like the movies that we watched?
I honestly really liked Bohemian Rhapsody, Elvis, and The Leprechaun. I thought they were really good. I was really surprised about The Leprechaun because it just looked...
It looked
weird.
It did look weird. But, you know, it was surprisingly good, I guess you could say.
It was. It was pretty funny, too, for a horror movie.
One thing I gotta say, I was so GD excited to be recording. I didn't even write my review on Letterboxd yet for Bohemian Rhapsody, but we're just getting into it. You know, we're so close to 100, and I feel like this is the episode that could tip it off. But if it doesn't, I'm going to have a mental breakdown, and all of you listening who aren't subscribing, you'll have that on your conscience. So I hope that you're okay with that. Also, for future reference, as far as the channel is concerned, always going to be able to find it here on YouTube, but something that we've been dabbling with and considering is trying to find a way to put it on Spotify. So if that is the case, and I know that a lot of people like to listen to stuff on Spotify because you might be able to listen to it on your phone, have the screen off, save some battery. That'll be down in the description below as well. So if that sounds interesting to you, be out on the lookout for that in the future because there might be a link there that you can listen to it on. But starting out, I thought, what better way to start the video than Le Leprechaun? And that is Mark Jones, 1993. And there's a big name actress in that movie that you are quite fond of.
Jennifer Aniston.
And I think she's one of the standouts of the movie.
She is. I mean, I was kind of biased because I love Friends, so
yeah,
I knew I would like her in like any movie.
And she's had some really great longevity as an actress. She's been in some really great stuff fairly recently. We Are the Millers. I really like her in The Breakup. I don't know. You've seen We Are the Millers, right?
Yeah.
What movie were you going to mention?
The Bounty Hunter. You probably haven't seen it, but I used
Gerard Butler?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch that a lot when it came out.
And obviously she is tremendous in Friends, and I think that I wonder, do you happen to know, was Friends kind of a little bit before and during this time period? I believe it came out in the early 90s.
I think it was during.
Okay,
yeah.
So she was really ascending, and this movie is considered a cult classic, and I think the reason is it has a charm to it. It's the Lucky Charms, right?
Right.
The luck of the Irish, some would say. And the character who plays the leprechaun definitely stands out. He jumps out. He's great. The physicality of what he brings, and being a smaller person, and it's like it's so that character. It's scary because he's so small and devious, and the one thing that I love about this movie is that no one would think a Leprechaun movie would be able to be entertaining, and it would be dumb. And look, this movie is very flawed in a lot of different ways. I think we can agree on that, but it went for it, and I think just the nature of doing that, saying, look, I have this idea, we're just gonna throw it at the wall, and we're not gonna back down, we're gonna actually go for a Leprechaun movie. I mean, it was successful monetarily. It had numerous sequels. Clearly there was something there that fans were able to latch onto. Did you find anything about this movie that was really able to kind of suck you in?
Well, as you remember, I was so opposed to watching this. I thought it looked so dumb.
Yeah.
But watching it, I really liked how funny it was. It was like comically bad, in my opinion.
So bad it was good.
Yes. Just like how he ran, like how
yeah.
they'd just like be shooting him, and like they didn't do anything about it. They're like, yeah, he's dead. And then you come back to life. I'm like, you can only be so stupid.
I liked the comically small vehicles.
There was conveniently like a bunch of small vehicles everywhere he went that he could drive.
Yeah. And it has one character death that is pretty iconic in my mind, and it was the use of a pogo stick to kill a coin collector, whatever. That's you gotta have neat kills if you're gonna be in the horror franchise, and they did that. The neck snap of the police officer was a little bit anticlimactic as far as kills go. But, it laid the groundwork. It put the mythology out there to start something that would become kind of iconic. I think if you ask people about horror movie franchises, Leprechaun might come to mind for them. So, I mean, that's really all you can ask for.
I think it depends, because I've never heard of Leprechaun until we watched it.
That's true. Part of that is because... and not to spoil the review, but it isn't a great movie. It is one of those movies that it's like, it's so bad that it's good. But, one thing I will say is that there was entertainment value for me. Some of the writing, and not necessarily dialogue, but as far as, like, how the story progressed, it was written kind of poorly in my mind. There was certain stuff, callbacks, tie-ins, that was good, I did like, but there was also a lot of stuff that you pointed out where I was like, yeah, they just, I think it was a mistake that they made, but they were like, screw it, this movie's so silly that we can kind of make these mistakes and it won't matter as much. Overall, what would you rate the movie, ranking or rating, and then any final thoughts on The Leprechaun?
I would give it a 2.5.
Okay.
2.5 out of 5. It was, in my opinion, alright. I wouldn't watch it again.
Yeah.
But my take on it was like I was so concentrated on Jennifer Aniston's outfits. Love the shoes, the clothes. Like I would die for a pair.
And of course those jean shorts.
Gonna try to make that.
Yeah. I thought definitely had that 90s flair to it. Felt kind of like a time capsule in that way with the fashion of all the characters. I liked the majority of the cast, kind of that core group of the painting trio and Jennifer Aniston and the Leprechaun. I thought they acted pretty well, and that's what kept the movie going, was all those characters, they did really well with their screen time. So and they were likable characters. Even the villain, which is also another kind of hallmark of a great horror franchise, is because that's the consistent part of, Freddy Krueger is the consistent part. Some characters might be in multiple movies, like I think Nancy, the heroine from Nightmare on Elm Street, is in maybe the third movie, or maybe even the second. But it's the main villain who is the consistent part. And you have your Jasons, you have your Michael Myers who don't talk much, but the kind of the physicality of the character or how they kill is what is, so intriguing and keeps you interested in the character. But Leprechaun kind of went that more silly comical route along the lines of, like I said, Freddy Krueger. And it's just a good, fun B movie. And I said in my Letterboxd review, it is the most entertaining 2 stars I've ever watched. I gave it a 2 out of 5. So me and you are pretty close on the ratings there.
It really was funny, though. What was the guy's name that was, like, the bigger guy that they made fun of?
Yeah, I can't remember
He was my
his
favorite.
Name. And at the end, there was just an amazing scene where the little kid was like, we needed the coins to give... Maybe his name was Bobby, I can't remember.
Otis?
Something like that. To get him brain surgery. And Jennifer Aniston is like, you can't fix that with brain surgery. And he's like, I know. That
he
was
doesn't
golden.
know.
Yeah.
When he's the one that brought it up to him.
Yeah, he hatched this plan. And also, it seemed like a sly way to, like, insult the big guy. He's like, people talk behind your back, and he's like, they do? It was like, you just kind of, like, spoiled his whole reality with that. But yeah, there was a lot of really good comical moments there, and I think that's why people like this one so much, there is some good humor. Moving on to the musical biopics, we're going into Bohemian Rhapsody. This one, I believe, it says directed by Bryan Singer and Dexter Fletcher. I think it was a situation where Bryan Singer had maybe directed a lot of the movie or maybe most of the movie, and then kind of there was some creative differences at the end. So Dexter Fletcher, and I am wrong. If I am wrong, let me know in the comments. I think Dexter Fletcher completed the movie. Took all the footage and kind of put it together to form the narrative and what have you. As with every single music biopic I watch, it makes me just want to listen to their music on repeat afterwards. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of Queen on the playlist coming up here.
I agree. Like when I watch Elvis, that's all I listen to like the entire week.
Yeah. And they do such a good job of kind of making you fall in love with the people in the band and getting to kind of learn their story, the trials and tribulations, the behind the scenes stuff. It makes you just love them all the more, and that's what's so great about this kind of formula of a music biopic is it makes you feel a greater connection to the band.
For me, I never listen to Queen. Like, I listened to the songs not knowing it was Queen, so when they played it in this, I was like, that's them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just made me really happy.
Yeah, and they have such a deep and awesome playlist, or
it's widely known by everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the word is discography, I believe.
I think.
So, Rami Malek, the lead, I think he nailed Freddie Mercury, and was just such a great performance by him. And I also thought the guitarist was really good at playing. He wasn't by any means the kind of highlight, but he was someone who stuck out to me as a really good actor and a good performance. And this movie differs from the next movie we're going to talk about in that it used Freddie Mercury's actual voice throughout the movie.
I didn't know that. I thought he was singing until I asked you.
Yeah. And I think that's just because Freddie Mercury's voice is so...
Unique?
So unique and just if you were to ask me, and I'm a music fan, Freddie Mercury's voice is at top tier as far as his vocals, and it would be, you'd be hard pressed to find a great performer who could both nail the vocals and the acting as well.
In the next movie, though, I do believe that they did it so.
Yeah. And Elvis, well, a little spoiler,
Yeah.
the next movie is Elvis. He has, he has a very distinct voice, but it's kind of one, and I think it's why Elvis impersonators are so common, is because it's something that a lot of people can kind of
practice and get it right.
Yeah, and you can emulate as well.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
That was a really good impersonation.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
If you guys appreciated that impression, let us know down below. But back to Bohemian Rhapsody. Kind of going into his personal life, how wild and crazy it got, and then, obviously diving into his diagnosis of AIDS, his drug use, the kind of band issues. It was really great, and then the way they ended with the Live Aid performance, I think that was just the best way.
It was like, it wrapped up perfectly, like the movie perfectly. It's like, that's how it ends. Like,
yeah,
like you couldn't have ended it better.
And it's such a famous performance. It's maybe one of the most famous kind of live performances, and that was like one of the first things I knew about Queen, besides like hearing them on the radio or during sports events like "We Are the Champions," "We Will Rock You." I think people in our age bracket probably heard that a lot through sports without knowing who Queen was.
Like me.
Like Big Chungus. And then, you go on, you listen to their music, and then you're like, they had like this great live performance. It was called Live Aid. Perfect way to end the movie. My one and only gripe, I'm not breaking new ground here. There's a very famous movie reviewer who I frequent on YouTube, Spotify, all of the above. He had said how the editing was dizzying almost. And kind of the wildness that this won an Oscar for Best Editing. And I do think the editing was noticeable, and not in a good way. And I wanted to kind of pick up this reaction from you live. The cuts and how frequently they cut. Did you notice that? Did you pick up on it? And was it almost a little disorienting?
I guess I don't know a lot about movies, so I don't know like editing, like cuts. Like I don't pay attention to that stuff. So like if you're a frequent movie watcher, love it, study it, like you would notice it. But the only time I got like really like the editing was in the press conference. When it was like foggy, they were like, it made me like dizzy.
Yeah.
From like how the camera was moving, like the way it was. I don't know.
No, that certainly did. They were adding a lot of effects to that, and that was one of the times that I thought it was like it gave you some insight to maybe how Freddie Mercury as a person was feeling during that time, but it was like very, very intense.
I think because he was using drugs, drinking, like you didn't know what he was on, and then they were asking really personal questions, so he probably like felt like disoriented, and I think they displayed it really well, but to me it made me dizzy.
Yeah. The way I would describe it was there seemed like a lack of confidence or just trying to get too much shit in for the movie, where it's like they really didn't let many, if any, like shots last for more than 5 seconds. It was just bang, 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 where it's like cut to this, cut to this, cut to this, cut to this, cut back.
Now that you described it, I did, like, looking back, I noticed that. I didn't know what you meant by, like, cuts.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And, like, there was some times where I think if you just let it linger, you don't need that cut. You can kind of just keep it where they started and then, like, cut with purpose. Because it started to lose purpose when they did it. It was kind of just almost bordering on fanciful the way that they would do it. There was just no reason. It was just constant motion. And like I said, if maybe the confidence was something where if there wasn't just constant motion going on in the editing board, that they would be scared that people would lose interest. You lost impact of certain shots by cutting away from it so quickly. That's how I felt. And I think, you know, I'll let you rate it because I'm still kind of wrestling in my mind with what I would give this because that is one of the big detractions for the movie for me.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was a really great movie. I'd give it 4.5 out of 5. Like, it helped, like, just, like, show what the whole band was going throughout the whole movie, like, where their thoughts were at, like, what they were doing. It really made me sympathize with Freddie Mercury, too.
Oh,
like, towards the end,
sure.
like, is like, he was, like, alone, like, he didn't feel loved. So, like, it just, like, I would give it a 4.5.
So I've come to the decision, I'm going to give it a 3.5. If the editing was less frenetic, it would easily be a 4 for me. And I'm not usually this nitpicky. I think this is maybe the first time I've ever picked editing out to as like a criticism. But for this one, it was so clear, and I think it would have been more poignant and more powerful had it just been simpler. Let's take out like over half of the cuts, and I think you have a better movie, genuinely. But it made a very deep character in Freddie Mercury lovable despite his flaws. It points them out so cleanly, and you still can't help but love this guy.
I agree.
Moving on to the third movie, it is Elvis by Baz Luhrmann. He's the director of The Great Gatsby, which I know is a movie that you very much appreciate. This one's been getting so much attention on Letterboxd, just a lot of attention in general, and it's on HBO Max now. So if you haven't watched it, our reviews are definitely both positive, I would say. So definitely check it out, especially if you have HBO Max. What were your initial thoughts on Elvis?
It lives up to the hype that it's getting. I was really nervous, like, not nervous, but skeptical going in. I was like, how could, like, a biopic about Elvis be good? Because I didn't know, like, anything. But Austin Butler did a great job, and it's actually him singing. Correct me if I'm wrong, I thought.
Yeah.
I looked that up.
He sings throughout, and then at the very end, it was Elvis's last performance. They splice in some Elvis.
And he, like, especially in the older, like, Elvis's older days, like, Austin Butler looked like him at, like, points. I'm like, is that actually Elvis?
They nailed it.
They did, and he had an awesome performance. Hated the Colonel.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of reminded me go back to Bohemian Rhapsody, he reminded me of Paul.
Yeah.
Like, how they both, like, were...
Snacks in the grass.
Yes. But, again, Austin Butler did amazing. Like, it's crazy that he went from, like, being, like, side characters, like in Hannah Montana, to, like... He's definitely going to get a lot of roles after this.
Yeah, I think this is going to definitely help solidify him as a bona fide movie star. Because he freaking... The look, the sound, the movement. He just personified Elvis in this, and one of the strongest performances. And I loved his performance. And then you have the juxtaposition where I have never seen the Colonel. I have no idea what he sounds like. I've heard he's Dutch. Tom Hanks' performance, it was, I don't know whether I love or hate it, but it took some of the focus away from Austin Butler, who was just like so, he was a movie star in this, legitimately.
Yes.
Just freaking stole the spotlight any scene he was in, but like Tom Hanks's character was tugging at that spotlight a little bit. And he was a villainous character, and I guess you need that, but I'm kind of I don't know whether to make heads or tails of that character and that performance.
I love Tom Hanks, don't get me wrong. I hated the accent.
Mm-hmm.
Hated, like, I don't know. I thought he could do a better job acting wise. Like, it wasn't his best movie, like, acting.
Yeah. It was, and I think they were trying to be true to the actual person, but if there was some flourishes or some creative choices made that differed from the actual person, I don't think they were good ones. If it was true to who the person was, maybe you should have made creative choices in other way. He was kind of like a slimy character, and you definitely were like, I don't like this character whatsoever. But one difference, from Bohemian Rhapsody to Elvis, some of the editing choices that they did with Elvis, I really liked, because it almost had this bedazzled look to the film. It was like they took the essence of what Elvis was and injected that into this film, and it was just, it added to the film for sure.
I don't know much what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like, editing wise.
It just felt very glitz and glamour.
I can see that.
Yeah. And, with this background, it was like a lot of the film had this kind of look. The intro, the outro, and some of the transitions from one shot to another, they got some of that, like, very bright and golden and Joel look, and it was cool. I like that.
I do too.
And Gatsby also kind of had a little bit of that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, like the background, it looked like how, like the background of The Great Gatsby is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I can definitely see it's from.
Same director.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Austin Butler, he's a freaking maniac. He's gonna, I hope, really propel from here. I think his trajectory is just, he's going to be one of those people to look out for.
Kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, he has a bunch of, like, hit movies. I feel like this is his starting one, and it's only going to get better from here, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is the one that's going to put him on the map, make him a household name. Talking about... Whoa, wait. Before we get there, that was a great transition, but I started a wee bit early. Let's go to ratings and final thoughts.
I'd give it a 5 out of 5.
Wow.
Which I know I don't do that normally, but...
The Big Chung hits it with a 5 out of 5.
It's just, I love Elvis, and I thought he did a great job portraying him, and, like, the voice, the acting.
He was tremendous.
He was. I don't have one negative thing to say about Austin Butler in the movie.
Yeah.
Except for the accent of Tom Hanks.
Thank you very much. I gave this one 4 out of 5. Really, really good. And I'm a little bit stingier with my 5 out of 5s.
You are.
But a 4 out of 5 that's high praise. Even a 3.5. I mean that's high praise for Bohemian Rhapsody. I really, I mean, for me, a 3.5 out of 5 is very good. 4 is like great. 4.5 is like I love, and 5.5 is like you are one of my favorite movies of all time. So our scales are slightly different, but just to contextualize my rating of 4, it was great. And must see.
If you have HBO Max, definitely watch it. If you don't get HBO Max, then watch it.
Yeah. You know.
That's all I gotta say.
Whatever, by any means necessary, to quote the late great Malcolm X. Also, both Elvis and Freddie Mercury, R.I.P. Can we get a rip in the chat, please? Thank you. Now, transitioning, we talked a little bit about Leonardo DiCaprio, and we had mentioned it at the beginning of this video. We're going to do our top 5 favorite actors, and I believe you have an actress on the board.
I think I have 2.
2 actresses on the board. I didn't, but you mentioned one that would definitely is on the verge of breaking into mine. I'm excited to talk about this because I have never really alluded to my favorite actors yet. This is domestic actors for both of us, so that doesn't include international superstars. So that might be something to look out for in the future. If you're watching this, drop your top 5 favorite actors and their best and worst movies / performances, because I touch on that a little bit in my ratings. But we're going to start with Big Chungus. We're going to start with, and this is in no particular order.
No, it's just the top 5.
Top 5 favorite actors, actresses, and we got Matthew McConaughey. Let us know favorite performance and then least favorite performance.
So for Matthew McConaughey, I have 2 favorite. Like, I couldn't choose between the 2. They're both perfect in my book, and that's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Which I have only seen scenes of.
We need to watch that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Interstellar. Amazing movie.
Great movie.
Yes. And I thought he was, like, perfect in both.
Interstellar, man, that movie was just like, I feel like it transcended what most movie experiences are. That's what I love about the director, Christopher Nolan. Interstellar, Inception.
Good movie.
They are just so grand in what they bring to the table. And Matthew McConaughey, he's a great performer in Interstellar for sure.
He is.
One performance that I want to throw in, and I know it's your top 5, but I thought Matthew McConaughey's best performance, and one of the best performances I've seen, period, was Dallas Buyers Club.
Knew you were going to say that. I agree.
It's such a good movie, and just raw emotion.
It is, and like that kind of ties into Bohemian Rhapsody if you think about it.
Yeah, you were definitely, the way that Mercury's character battled with that diagnosis, and it was very reminiscent of Dallas Buyers Club. So now to what you would say is your least favorite movie.
I am not saying he did a bad job whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't. I just hate the movie Magic Mike.
They should call the sequel that I'm sure will be coming out in the next 10 years, Magic Mike Dirty Dancing.
There is a sequel to Magic Mike already.
Is there a third?
I don't know. It's Magic Mike 2.
Well, drop a comment down below if you want to see me and Big Chungus make Magic Mike
No.
Dirty Dancing. Because that would be a good movie that we could make.
I don't think it'd be good.
I
don't think it has a horrible
premise.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Well, in this one, they're going to be doing Dirty Dancing. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Magic Mike. It's not my type of movie. I know middle-aged women loved the movie. So, and if you are a middle-aged woman and you are listening now, no disrespect, to each his own. But It wasn't your forte.
No, I would not make a third movie if I was anyone.
Unless it's Magic Mike.
Dirty Dancing.
There you go. Any comments on Matthew McConaughey as a whole?
No, he's just great in my opinion. Like all the movies he's in, his acting is like superb.
Mm-hmm. And you know, you kind of get with these three movies, there was a time in McConaughey's career where he was very much typecast as just the romantic lead, or just like a pretty face, so to speak. And then Dallas Buyers Club, really, people were like, hot damn, this guy can act.
Yeah, it took off. Like he has like his acting is like diverse.
Mm-hmm.
Like in all three of those movies, like that I have up, it's like so diverse. Like one's not like the other.
Yeah. One of these things is not like the other. That's a new single we're coming out with. Check the description for that single that we're coming out with. Anywho, and Interstellar. Sorry, I keep talking about your picks. But Interstellar, I think, was the one where it's like, this is a box office superstar.
Did it win any awards?
I do not know, but it was a hot movie. And I mean, like, it was the talk of the town, for sure.
Yeah, I watched it going to my senior trip on the bus. Like, my whole class watched it, and I only got clips. I was like, I need to watch this. So right when I got home, I watched it, and I think I've watched it, like, numerous times since.
Yeah. Next actress, it is Jennifer Aniston. And you didn't throw the Leprechaun on this. And, but you did throw two movies. You have Marley and Me up, and then what is that other movie?
He's Just Not That Into You.
So which one's your favorite? Which one's your least favorite?
You gonna take a guess?
I think you said you love the scene where Marley passes away.
No, I cried.
Oh, that wasn't your favorite scene?
No.
Is that your favorite movie?
That she's in, yeah.
Okay. Go on and tell us what you liked about Marley and Me and what you disliked about She's Not That Into You.
I just think Owen Wilson and Jennifer Aniston had really good chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dog, obviously, was adorable. And I just thought it was a great storyline. She did great acting.
Yeah.
He's Just Not That Into You. It was just too many.
Stories.
Yeah, and just, like, it, like, all kind of like, went together. It just, like, there was too many stories to keep up with. I didn't like it like that.
Well, if you disagree with Big Chungus, fight her down in the comments below, but
No, please
beware.
don't.
Beware, because I will protect her honor. No holds barred.
Have you seen any of these movies?
I have not. I only saw the ending to She's Just Not That Into You, and quite frankly, I thought the ending was actually pretty decent. So I was surprised that it was your least favorite, but, you know, it beat out The Leprechaun.
It did.
It did. So
For
you
my-
really dislike that movie.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
Well,
She's not... Jennifer Aniston, I just want to say, is not bad in it. It's just the worst movie.
Justin Long is terrible in it, isn't he? Look at his smug face.
No, it's just like, it's not... It's just not my favorite movie that she's in. Not saying she's bad or anything. It's like not the worst performance. It's the worst movie.
Yeah. It is crazy. I haven't watched it, but I mean, I'm looking at the poster here, and it has Aniston, the guy from Entourage. You got, what's her face?
I don't know her name.
She's a big actress. You got Demi Moore. You got Justin Long. You got Bradley Cooper, heavyweight in the world of actors. And then you got this girl you definitely know from Grey's Anatomy. You know her name?
No.
Yeah. But she, Katherine Heigl, that's her name.
Oh, is that her?
I might be wrong. But it looks like it would be...
Drew Barrymore.
That's Drew Barrymore. That's Katherine Heigl. You got her name. I could be wrong. I think it's Katherine Heigl. But it looks like, it has a good cast. I'm
Yeah.
surprised it didn't pan out in the mind of the Chungus. Moving on, we have Toni Collette. I love Toni Collette as well.
I know you do.
And you have Krampus and Hereditary, 2 horror movies with a lot of talk. I have my guess as to the one you like because, but why don't you tell us your favorite, your least favorite, and what you liked and disliked?
I watched Krampus on Christmas with my brother. Wasn't a fan. It was like when it first came out, so don't really remember a lot of it. I just remember maybe if I watched it again, we can watch it this Christmas, and I might like it more, because after I watched Hereditary, I became a fan of Toni Collette.
Yes. Hereditary was a movie that I was like, it changed horror for me. I was like, this is not something I've ever really seen before. And it was just so viscerally shocking, and Toni Collette steals the show in certain scenes where the emotion, it feels like it's coming from a place where it's like, I think she should have won a lot of awards for that movie.
Yeah.
Her performance was great, and the movie was great as well.
It's one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah.
It's just the whole thing, it's just how the storyline is, I love.
Yeah, there is a tremendous story, and how it slowly unveils itself to you. It's crazy and super, super dope. Moving on, we have Bill /Will/William/Billiam Smith. Don't talk about his wife.
Or he might slap you.
Keep my wife's mouth. Favorite, least favorite Will Smith movie?
My favorite is I Am Legend.
/
No, Pursuit of Happiness gets a...
The Edge.
No, it gets a honorable mention.
Okay. As a good movie.
Yes. But I Am Legend I used to watch with my dad all the time.
And you didn't like Aladdin?
I hated Aladdin. I watched it.
You didn't like Aladdin?
I don't know if it's rated good, but I did not like it.
Shock.
Is it rated bad?
Yes. And for the people watching this one on the YouTubes, and for those listening, do yourself a favor at some point, just look at a picture of what they did makeup-wise for Will Smith for this movie. And you'll understand. I didn't watch this movie. I won't watch this movie. I know it's a bad movie.
We were talking about it. They just keep making live-action movies from old Disney movies, and most of the time it doesn't work out, so they just need to stop.
Yeah.
And if you like it, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's just my opinion.
If you like this movie, we have to meet in person and throw hands at one another, because I don't respect you, and I'll never respect you. But I appreciate you watching this video. And these are just jokey jokes, by the way. Right, Chungus?
Right. The Pursuit of Happiness was so sad.
Very sad. Jaden Smith is the son. That was a cool chemistry, obviously. Yeah. And the story, the subject material was tremendous. Based on a true story. Very... Yeah, it was sad as hell.
But it had a happy ending, so...
And that was the happy in Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes. No, it was the daycare.
Yes. Which I forget.
Yes.
I Am Legend. That was a solid movie. For sure.
It was. It was different when it came out. I was like, what is this? I think it was the first horror movie I actually watched. So I just loved it.
And that was Will Smith's... He was still in his peak. He won an Oscar, so it's hard to say that. But King Richard isn't a movie that's necessarily on my radar as ones to watch. He fell off, mate, as some people would say. But yeah, I mean, he is. I'm a little lukewarm on Will Smith, and that was even before the whole Oscar incident. I'm just not a fan of his personality. I know that might be controversial. A lot of people absolutely love him. My honorable mention, if you don't mind, and you had wanted to put this on one of your least favorite movies, and that was Suicide Squad. I thought his acting was like, you know, it was okay. The movie was very, very flawed to where Margot Robbie, whose performance I thought was actually the best of the movie, really just could not do much to elevate that. And the sequel, Suicide Squad, is vastly, vastly superior. But yeah, if you're looking for two Will Smith movies to avoid, this isn't going to be breaking news, but Aladdin, Suicide, and The Suicide Squad, you're going to want to avoid. Next, for Big Chungus, this is a real guessing game for people watching because your explanation, I think, will really contextualize this. But why don't you go ahead and shock the world with your favorite and then least favorite movie, because both movies in the background here are pretty damn good movies.
My favorite is, drumroll, Shutter Island. Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
It made me think the entire time, which I love those kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, who? I have to rewatch it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's about that time. But he had an amazing performance.
Yes.
Like, it was just like you have to like watch the whole movie and then rewatch it to like pick up on the stuff that you missed the first time just because you...
Yeah, there's a lot of great little details that are put in there.
Yeah.
Sprinkled in.
It was really good. I'd give it that's one of the 5 out of 5s I would give.
5 out of 5.
Then I'm not saying I hate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's just not my favorite movie. And I know I go back and forth on this. Maybe I need to watch it and just give it a solid number.
A little a fresh
take.
Yeah, one thing I will say, and look, because you love you some Leonardo DiCaprio.
Love him.
You're a big fan of Titanic. You're a big fan of big fan of Shutter Island. Gangs of New York.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Great Gatsby.
Great Gatsby. Any others? I mean, that's 5 right there, and you love them. So I mean, you don't hate Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's just tough competition.
It is, because he's such an amazing actor.
That's what makes this kind of list and exercise so difficult. Is it's like, I love this actor. You don't seek out the bad movies, so it's tough competition. I think the people earlier on your list were maybe a little bit easier to choose out, but Leonardo DiCaprio, I mean, he's a leading man. He chooses scripts pretty damn well.
Yeah.
So, I will say, I thought his performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in my mind, is actually one of his best performances.
Really?
Yes. The movie, I think that's where you have it. It's a really good movie. I like the movie. I need to rewatch it myself to give it a rating on Letterboxd, because it was a wee bit fizzy in my mind to write a review. But he rocked that role. He rocked and rolled. A little tie into the music biopics. Now we're on to me, and feel free to talk as much as you want, because I definitely talked so much over your stuff that I feel bad, but I hope you didn't mind it. Not at all?
No, not at all.
So Taco Z, one of my favorite actors, Daniel Day-Lewis. I have the honorable mention of Gangs in New York because that was the movie that made me love Daniel Day-Lewis. Top movie, There Will Be Blood. I love that movie. Daniel Day-Lewis. This is when I was like getting into this and trying to watch quote unquote great movies. And I loved the movie, and I thought the performance by Daniel Day-Lewis was is one of the best performances I've ever seen.
He does really well.
I drink your milkshake. Great movie. And then worst, this isn't, I don't think it's controversial. Daniel Day-Lewis did a good job. It's just Lincoln, I don't know how that source material was as dry as it was. It just, I don't know. I think from a creative standpoint, there would have been stuff they should have done to make it more interesting. Next on the docket is Christian Bale as a young wee lad. Now I'm really getting into my Irish accent.
You are.
I'm getting into my bag. I kept saying, the leprechaun, and it was bad.
Yeah,
but
that's what started it all.
Yeah, but now I'm saying a wee tidbit. It seems like it's getting a little bit better, doesn't it? Just a wee tidbit.
Maybe.
So, Christian Bale was like my favorite actor for a really long time, and that was because of The Dark Knight. I actually watched American Psycho after I saw The Dark Knight, and that was when I was a freshman in college, and he just rocked that. But Dark Knight is my favorite movie. I had to put a ton of honorable mentions on here for him just because he has performances that I think kind of transcend the movie, although American Psycho is really good. His performance is great in that. And then The Fighter, that's like a 7.5 for me, so it's not like one of my favorite movies, but just had to throw in the performance of Christian Bale was tremendous. Least favorite movies, these weren't necessarily bad performances, but just equilibrium. It was, it was solid, but not anywhere close to top tier, which is The Dark Knight. And then Public Enemy, I actually saw that movie twice in theaters. It was just good.
I have never seen any of those movies.
We saw The Fighter together.
I don't remember it.
It's that too many shots to the head. Too many steel chair shots.
I guess so. It's... I don't know if that makes me a bad person that I am not a fan of him.
No, not at all. I think if we were to watch The Dark Knight, American Psycho, and then The Fighter again, I think you might come around on him.
Maybe.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. Maybe we'll do a Christian Bale themed episode in the future. Give you a little taste.
Like the Halloween episode we're going to be doing.
Oh, yeah. By the way, just something to mark your calendars for. Halloween is going to be on the 31st of October this year. And for the month of October, we have a spooky, scary movies all month long. So be on the lookout. Horror is my bag. I love horror movies.
It's my favorite too.
So, Big Chungus is going to be making appearance after appearance after appearance. We might have a new guest joining us as a trio. So be out on the lookout for that. And then I'm going to be hopefully some other guest hosts that you've seen before. Can do some horror-themed episodes with them. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully all you horror movie fans are psyched about that. But next, we got, and again, I can't choose.
It doesn't seem like you can. You're just like, I love all of them.
Yeah.
Can't pick just one.
Well, you know, I feel like I'm being overly prepared for comments saying like, "What about blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
So I tried to keep my defenses high on this one, but I got 4 movies on the board here for Leonardo DiCaprio. 3 are ones that I really really like, and one, it's not a bad movie, but just the movie as a whole, I wasn't a fan of, and even performance wise. Um, and it's, you know, this might be controversial. I think public opinion might agree with me on this. But we'll start with the best. My favorite movie that DiCaprio is in is Departed. His performance is also great in that. So, just overall solid. You're a fan of Departed as well, right?
I am. It's a really good movie. He was amazing, and I know I keep saying that, but like all these
Movies.
actors and actresses
yeah,
are
yeah.
like top notch, or like the best.
Top tier.
Yeah.
Top shelf. Top of the line.
All the above.
All of the above. Then we got Gangs in New York. That's just a movie I freaking love. And I thought DiCaprio was really, really good in that as well. He had Daniel Day-Lewis as a counterpart. That's hard to like be in a scene with a great actor and really be able to go toe to toe with him. And he did just that. He was solid. And then this is just one. I thought the performance was good, really good. But I have a soft spot in my heart for Catch Me If You Can. So that leaves The Revenant, which is his Oscar performance. The movie was good. I don't hate it, but it just, in comparison to the DiCaprio movies I've seen, it's at the bottom.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of great stuff about it. I honestly think the lore going into the movie and what DiCaprio did to prepare it outweighs the movie itself and in the performance. It's not bad. It's good, and I like a lot of the parts of it. It's just, you know, it doesn't hang with, you know, even Shutter Island, which I really like, and could have been better. Not could have been better. It's not for me.
Is he in Inception?
He is in Inception. That's another movie.
I thought that was going to be on the list.
Yeah. You know, if I were to rank, it might be above, you know, Catch Me If You Can, or maybe even Gangs in New York. That one would actually be pretty neck and neck. I just thought his performance in Catch Me If You Can was great. And again, it's like a nostalgic movie. I used to watch it on TBS all the time, and I was just like, I don't know. It's a happy movie for me. Next, we got R.I.P. P.S.H. Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was a guy that growing up, I didn't watch any movies of his. My brother was like, he's such a great actor, and I was like, I don't even know. I think one of the few that I had seen, he was like a side character. It was Along Came Polly, and he was funny in that movie. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess he's all right. And then I watched like some of his actual like performance movies. Doubt is my favorite. I thought that performance was so strong. It's a movie that's just like, there's so much depth in it, and it's about like the corruption and assaults that had been perpetrated by the church, and how during that time period where it started to come out and people were starting to make connections, there was a denial and a sense of not wanting to believe the terrible things that were going on. He freaking nailed the role of the priest where you're like, I don't even want to believe this about him.
And that's what happens.
Yeah. You're like, this guy is like, there's no way. It could, he's a priest. Not only that, but he's like just a stand-up guy. Or seemingly so. He nailed that. And then this one, it's like I was so conflicted to even put this on. The only reason I guess I didn't put Along Came Polly is because it's been so long since I've seen it. And he's very much a background character. That's also why I leaned more towards Doubt as opposed to Boogie Nights. Because, I think I might have Boogie Nights ranked above Doubt. But he's just a very much like a supporting cast character. But I stuck with Capote. I haven't seen enough. I would, like Along Came Polly, probably I dislike more than Capote. I actually really like Capote. I gave it a 3.5. And the acting by Hoffman was just top tier. He was doing that accent. He's talking really softly, and he had the lisp the whole time through.
I've never seen it. I have no idea.
We watched that one together as well. It is not a running gag, and you guys are going to think that it is, where Big Chungus is going to say, I've never seen this. And I'll say, we watched it together. That's going to be a recurring bit, but it is real. Big Chungus has not the greatest memory when it comes to movies. I do remember you said you liked the movie after we watched it. It's the guy who wrote In True Blood. Okay, and the
I've
movie...
I've never seen In True Blood.
That's... No. That's a book. In True Blood is a book.
Reading it.
Yeah, because of the movie, I think. You were like, oh, I'm really interested. I want to watch that.
I have no recollection.
Well, anywho, Philip Seymour Hoffman, he nails the character super well. And the story is really good. It's just, from what I've seen from Philip Seymour Hoffman, I mean, you got Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, Boogie Nights, supporting character, and a few others that are slipping my memory. But he's solid. His performances are always good. And it was tough to choose between what was the least favorite. Yeah. So I guess the honorable mention would be Along Came Polly, although he was good in that too. But the movie as a whole, I guess, would be below Capote for me. But if we're going to choose, especially ones where he's the lead, it's Capote until I see other ones. And I think this is the fifth and final. If you're watching this via video, it might not be a surprise which one of these is not like the other.
I know which one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
which I love, by the way.
Yeah, it's, and I'll get to that. I don't dislike it. It's just, again, it's tough to choose because Jack Nicholson is a tremendous actor, and he's in a lot of good stuff. It's just, it's tough.
Kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio in a sense. Like, you can't just pick.
Exactly.
One movie. And even if you do pick your least favorite, it's still really good.
Exactly. My favorite, like I said with DiCaprio, is The Departed. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. It's one of my favorite movies. It's just like that genre, that director, it's so much like that is what I'm really, really into. So that one went over it enough, but Jack Nicholson is really, really great playing Whitey Bulger, to where he even, I think he beat out Johnny Depp as Whitey Bulger in performance wise, and that's a tight race, and it's hard to outperform Johnny Depp if you're going head to head with him. Although I do feel like he's gotten the short end of the stick, maybe as Willy Wonka. I would give Gene Wilder, the original, the nod as well, but Depp he's great. But this is about Jack Nicholson. The Departed, it's one of my favorite movies, And then I had to put an honorable mention. Another one of my just favorites of all time is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And the charisma of Jack Nicholson in that movie is just tremendous. Another honorable mention, The Shining, because that's one of the best horror movies ever. And Jack Nicholson's performance is just, it's top cheddar.
You didn't watch, 6 months ago, that was the first time you've ever seen it. Under my recommendation. Just want to throw that out there.
So, I mean, you're to thank very much for this channel, and you helped put the idea in the mind, and so I do thank you. And that was a great movie. It was one that it's like you can't go your whole life without watching The Shining.
You have to watch it at least once.
Yeah. And if you like horror movies especially, and I love it. I love horror movies.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I had to just... You like when someone just repeats your joke louder?
You do that all the time.
That's my specialty. Least favorite movie, The Bucket List. We were kind of alluding to that earlier. It's a feel-good story, but, tough competition, and it's one that kind of stands out for me that I've seen where I'm like, it's not quite on the same tier as the others. With that being said, thank you guys for listening. I hope you like this episode, and hopefully you're able to listen to this one on a podcast station, perhaps Spotify, or whatever else it's on. And I hope you liked it. So be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to comment too. Again, what are your top 5 actors? And give me your best and worst movies. Because I'm interested, and there's probably some people you're going to put down below that I'm like, damn, I should have put them on my list. What if any, ending message would you like to leave the audience with, Big Chung?
Watch Elvis.
That's a great recommendation.
Yeah, watch Elvis. If you do anything this week, watch Elvis.
It's so hot right now.
It is.
So thank you guys again. We appreciate you joining us, and we will catch you
on the flippity floop.
Bye, y'all.